morning. So I came to report about my experience at the play that I went to yesterday, in case anyone is interested. So I said in my video yesterday, I think this might be an interactive play. I'm not sure. I don't know what I've gotten myself into. Oh, life is funny. So I arrived at my friend's house that I was going with, and as we were about to walk out the door, I looked at my outfit and I realized that I was dressed in such a way that I kind of looked like a character from like a period piece. Like I have a tendency, this has happened to me a few times in my life, like more than once, okay? Where people approach me and they compliment me on my costume. Like they think that I am doing cosplay, and it's just my clothes. So, I had this moment before we walked out the door. I was like, oh my gosh, I look like I could be like a chimney sweeper or a train conductor, or like I look like a character. So I said that to my friend. She's like, oh, you look fun, you know. So we get to the play, we're late. They're like, you guys can go in on the next round. Like, the play's 45 minutes long. So we arrived like 15 minutes late. So we had to hang out in the garden, in the gallery, outside of the studio for a little bit. And then we come in for our turn. And so what it was is we were at a glass sculpture gallery, and as a way to present the artwork, they did an interactive play as you walk through the gallery. It was very cool. So the first actor comes in, he's acting as if he is the owner of the gallery, and he's talking about his life, how he became an artist. And so he starts going through mail. He's like, I live here, I do my art here, and he picks up a pile of mail and he's going through it. And okay, this is like the one interactive piece of the play, and out of everybody, of course, he says, he picks up the mail and he reads off the name on the piece of mail, and he said, is so and so here? Well, he read, it was me. But they got the name off of like when I purchased the ticket, I used my credit card, my bank card, and of course it has my legal name on it, and I don't go by that name anymore. And so this is the name that he called out, and I just played dumb. I was like looking around like everybody else, like, oh, I don't know who that is. Because I was like, this is a trick, this is a trap from the devil. Not really, but it's like sometimes I feel like my past is still haunting me in certain ways. Like all of us probably feel that way, right? Like our old self tries to come in and hijack us and pull us back down into the depths, because we're always awakening, growing, hopefully, and you shouldn't look back. Like Medusa, you might turn into stone. So I don't answer to that name. That's not me. It never was me. But I thought that was funny because I was like, oh, I don't know what I've gotten myself into. There's only one person in the whole group that they pull into the play, and it was going to be me. But I didn't let it happen. So there's that. And then, so they just moved on to another name called another name, right? And so the guy gives the audience member the piece of mail. He tells him to open it up and read it. He's reading it. And as he's reading it, behind him, this lady, another actor, is sneaking up on him, like, just to scare him. And so I'm already thinking, like, my past is trying to sneak up on me, right? That's the thought I'm having. And then this actor is, like, sneaking up behind this guy that was supposed to be me. And this woman looks like my grandmother. Like, teeny, petite little lady. And she's also dressed, like, in garb that's from an earlier time period. And she scares him. Turns out she's a ghost. Now, the theme of the whole play is that all the characters are people from St. Petersburg, Florida, from throughout history that made a name for themselves in some way. They're part of the local lore of the city, right? So her ghost takes us into her living room, and immediately we walk in, and it looks like my grandmother's house. Like the old chair, there's an ashtray next to the chair with a half smoked cigarette in it, and I'm like, whoa, this is trippy. And she comes over, she's talking to us, she pulls out a candy dish and she offers me candy, and she's talking about how this candy is like, it reminds her of love. It's like, do you guys remember those atomic fireballs? Okay, when I was a kid, that was my father's favorite candy. We always had a huge jar of that candy in our house at all times, and I haven't seen that candy in years. So I take the candy and I put it in my mouth, and her story is that this like really happened to someone in St. Petersburg at some point in history. She died of internal combustion. So she's telling her story about how she lit up a cigarette and was smoking a cigarette, and she watched an ember float up, and the ember was falling down, and she took it into her mouth and she exploded into blue flame. Okay, so then there was that, and then we go to the next. She gives us a letter to take, a message to take to the next scene, to the next actor who's going to tell his story. We walk into the next room, and the guy is wearing almost the exact same outfit that I am. Okay, boots, socks, hats, pants that are rolled up. Like we look like we're in a scene together. It's hilarious. Like, and I think the other people in the play must have thought like, oh, she is in the play or something. So that was my experience. It was really cool. It makes me want to look more into local history. And then, so there was this flavor of like my past calling on me, right? Haunting me. This is around Halloween too. And I had the experience of like, at one point a couple years ago, when I went through my alchemical process of breaking down and being restructured and falling into blackness and madness and then coming out the other side, like that all started around Halloween. So it does feel kind of spooky, like some of that haunting flavor. And I woke up this morning, so I was feeling that, like my past coming around, and I've been dreaming like the last couple of nights, really intense dreams about my past, my family, all of this stuff coming up. I'm working through it as I'm like microdosing. I wake up to the first thing I see on my phone is a video that is being recommended to me about the archetype of the dead mother. Now, I never heard of this archetype. I've heard of the devouring mother, right? And I've heard of the dead mother in terms of like, it's a psychological term that's used to describe mothers who are emotionally dead, who do not give nurturance to their children in the way that mothers are intended to. And I didn't recognize that this was also a Jungian archetype. And I'm reading the Red Book. I'm really into Jung. So this was presented to me, and so I listened to it first thing this morning, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's what I got, one of those mothers. And so this ties back into like my name being called, my past haunting me. My mother gave me, the reason I changed my name and that I don't answer to my birth name is that my mother, who is the archetypical dead mother. I have compassion for her. I love her. It's like whatever. We all embody something. We all have our trials and tribulations and challenges, okay? But this is the role that my mother played for me. This is our dynamic. She was not there for me emotionally. She was dead. Beyond that, she was cruel and went out of her way to suppress me in certain ways, to restrict my growth, to keep me down, to, in many ways, infantilize me so that I couldn't grow into my own person. That's what the dead mother does. One of the ways that she did this, and it was unconscious, I believe that. It was out of her own wounding. And her relationship with her own mother that she was repeating with me. That's what happens if you don't heal your wound. You become like the thing that wounded you, and then you just become a vector for that energy. And that's why we have generational trauma that just gets passed down until somebody heals it. I healed it. Okay, so I don't carry that name anymore. But she named me after her mother, who abandoned her, who left her in an orphanage with her siblings when she was a young child, and then also wrote her out of her will and specifically said that my mother was not allowed to come to her funeral. She named me after this person who she loathed, and then proceeded to act out that relationship dynamic with me, never seeing me, always projecting onto me the hate and the contempt that she had for her own mother. And so I realized my name, my grandmother's name, it was a curse. Literally, it was a curse. So anytime someone speaks that name, I don't own it. There's power in names. It could be a blessing, it could be a curse, a name. So choose names carefully. The names of your children is important. And in many cultures, in Native American cultures, this is a rite of passage that people would go through, is that at a certain point they would go through an initiation and then they would change their name because they went through a transfiguration, a transformation, and they were no longer that former person. So they needed a new name. And so I gave myself a name, which really God gave me this name. And I'll tell you, I went through what I went through, where I had a total dismantling, dismembering, breaking down of my former self into a puddle, a mess, a blob. And I had to painstakingly put myself back together intentionally. And when I came out the other side, at the tail end of my healing, when I was regaining the ability to write and to draw. For a long time I couldn't do that because I had nerve damage and my hands were shaking. I got to the point where I could once again make art, and I did a collection of paintings, and at the bottom of every painting I wrote the word shalom. Now, I didn't even know what shalom meant at the time. And historically, throughout my life, I had never signed my artwork. And people would always get on to me about that. But I would always say, like, I don't feel like it's mine. I feel like art, creation, these creations are something that is moving through me, and I don't feel the need to sign my art. But for some reason, at this time, I was signing the artwork, but not with my name, with the word shalom. About 6 months went by, and I realized that I was no longer the same person that I had been before I had gone through this whole alchemical, psychological, spiritual process, and that I needed to change my name to indicate that. And I didn't even have to think. It just occurred to me like, wow, like a flash of light, like, oh, this is why I was signing my artwork Shalom. It was Shalom that was doing the art. I'm Shalom. And then I looked up the meaning of the name Shalom, the word Shalom. And it's a Hebrew word, and it has actually 40 different meanings, but they all, in essence, mean like completion, wholeness, and the peace that comes from being whole and complete. And it's also used as a greeting and a departure, if you're wishing someone peace as you say goodbye or you say hello. And how fitting that this is the name that came to me after what I went through, because I let go. I said goodbye to my past, to the trauma, to my former self. And I said hello to my wholeness, my reclaimed, my healed self, and experienced the peace of that. Shalom. So I don't answer to that old name. My past tried to come back and deliver me a piece of mail, but that's not for me. So that's my experience. I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm not obligated to anything today. I don't have anything scheduled, so I think I'm gonna try to go get lost in nature and find a quiet place to read. So yeah, life is so magical, so fun, and I don't know how you guys feel about Halloween. I like to dress up, okay? But Halloween, I believe any time that you interact with something or participate in something, it's about your intention, right? But also, this time of year, there are a lot of people who are participating in the holiday of Halloween, who are participating in it with intentions that are dark. It is actually an occult holiday. So yes, there are many people who are they like to dress up, they like to get candy, they like to have fun, but we're all collectively swimming in energy together. We're adding energy, we're taking energy, we're co-creating our worlds. And so just be careful this time of year, because there are actually a lot of dark things happening around Halloween. So I don't participate in it anymore after the things that I have encountered spiritually. I've encountered some really dark things, and so I don't want to in any way invite, even accidentally, that sort of thing into my life. So I'm thinking of other ways that maybe I can express myself through costume. Well, maybe I just already do that with my daily garb, apparently. So, yeah, anyways, just be careful out there this time of year.